Running is one of those sports where you throw on a pair of shoes, cut your shorts really short, and you're good to go. That's all you need, right? And
right.
You can do it anywhere. You can
That's
do
right.
it anywhere you live. It's, you don't need to spend a lot to get into it. But somehow every runner, when they do get into it, spends a ton. Watches, shoes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You gotta have the gear.
Hi, I'm Ryan Allison, and I'm a Renegade. I'm one of the race directors that's working to bring the Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon and 5K to Windsor, September 14th, 2025. It's family friendly, it's flat, it's easy, and it's fast. We hope to see you out there. You can find more details on the Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon Facebook page or at Race Roster.
Well, we love our athletic brews. And when we had Corey on a couple weeks back, he had himself the Ripe Pursuit. It's a nice summer shandy. Let me hear. Did you hear that?
Hold on. Let me see if I can mimic that.
Yeah, you got it.
Whether you're having one athletic brew or two, there's an athletic brew for you.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Awesome. You can hear us okay?
So how's your day going?
It's been a week. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been a busy one, but have you been getting out there and running quite a bit in the heat? I mean, it's kind of calmed down a little bit now, but.
Yeah. So one thing I've always kind of lived by, and I try and promote to the Blue Heron Run group, is take advantage of the hot, dreadful days. And that way, if you ever end up with a bad day on race day, it's just another training day.
Hey, there you go.
And so I try and tell them, get out there when it's raining, wear some old shoes, feel what they feel like when they're 2 pounds heavy with water. And it can only get better on race day if you train like that.
Absolutely. And in true spirit of Blue Heron, I think we're all sporting some blue today. So you know what? Representing.
We all got the memo.
And it's not quite a heron, but over my shoulder here we've got some. Todd, show. Where's yours? See it back. Oh, there it is. It's
corner. There we go.
Yeah. So the reason why we have those is that we work together, right? And we had an event one evening where it was a painting challenge. It was like a wine and sip or whatnot. And I am not artistic in any sort of way. So I turned my emu into a mascot of some sort. And, but there are some really interesting, versions at the end of it though, where you really see people's true nature.
There were scary versions.
Yeah, I did that.
There were scary ones.
Yeah.
See, that's impressive to me. I could not do that. That's good.
They take you through every single step, and it's you can't mess it up. Well, until you add a full body to it, not and then, or like we had some fiery red eyes, and and other people's. It was
like that Muppet. You remember the Muppet with the beak? It was blue. I forget his name. That's the body. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's
interesting. Hey. That's what's going on in here. So watch out.
Yeah, watch out. No running in the dark with you.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you know what you said? Like, what's the best part, or the best part of the day today? Like recording the podcast, Ryan. This is so much fun. This is episode 15 coming on, so you're the 15th guest. 16
that's awesome.
If you count Scott and Don.
Yeah, no, that's great what you guys are doing. If you don't mind my asking, so how did it come about? How did you guys?
Well, we've got to come up with a good backstory about how we were running on a trail, and that met one day. It was 36 degrees, and so we've just been something that it's just been a back and forth conversation for how many years now, Todd? Do you think 2 or 3 now?
Probably since podcasting came into our vocabulary, maybe like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I guess so. We're like, oh, we could make a podcast about that, or what about this, or what about that, and then Todd's been running for a while, and I just recently picked it up though the last 2 weeks have been very, very poor showing of it. But I've been recovering from, I got one of those summer colds and that. And then we're just like, let's do it. And Todd's made so many contacts over the years, and he's learned that, I mean, we've both learned that sometimes you just have to ask and people say yes, and you get an opportunity to talk to people that you wouldn't normally get to in any other kind of circumstance. So it's really just us wanting to talk to people, and the whole podcast thing's just like a ploy to draw people in. So we fooled you.
We need more friends.
That's really cool. I appreciate even you guys having me on here. It's impressive what you guys are doing.
And is this your first podcast that you've been on?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, other than any kind of little short interview here or there, nothing long-term, no long-term conversation. So,
well, we're still figuring it out.
Yeah, we're never going to figure it out. Just like running, we're never going to figure it out. So Ryan, maybe for our listeners, how about, introduce us to who Ryan Allison is and why did you start running?
Oh, geez. I don't know if you guys really want to know. No, it's, I wish it was more of an interesting story, but actually it goes back to probably 2008. And one of my childhood best friends reached out to me and he said, hey, he's like, do you want to run the Detroit Half Marathon? At this point, I've never run anything. Never run a 5K before, probably never ran a 3K before. But I was like, yeah, let's give it a try. When is it? He's like, it's like 4 weeks from now. I was like, oh, that sounds like plenty of time to train. Right? So no idea whatsoever. And we ended up running that race and both of us fell in love with it. Like what a cool event, 25,000 runners, tons and tons of spectators, nothing we've ever done before like that. So it was every aspect of that big city race was new to us. And, we're nervous and everything. Then when we finished the race, we're like, oh, could never fathom running another stride after that. And car ride home, it started, the runner's high started setting in. And we're like, wow, we're basically invincible right now. I mean, we're the greatest ever. And so then we ended up meeting up with a few other friends the next day. And we, started talking to them. Oh, we just ran Detroit Free Press Half Marathon and everything, and kind of all proud of it. And, the comments we started getting back was, yeah, my aunt ran it. And, oh, yeah, my mother-in-law ran it. And, yeah, my grandfather's done that like 10 years in a row.
What's his
father?
My
gosh. It's like, and then we're talking to people and, people you wouldn't think, and they had better times than us. And they're like, well, I don't get this. How does this work? And so we basically, after that, that was our first time getting humbled right out of the gate. Done one race, get humbled, reset. So I went online and I started looking up what are harder things to do. What's the hardest thing to do, blah, 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 and came across Ironman. So called my buddy up and I was like, hey, I'm reading up on this whole Ironman thing. And, it's 3 disciplines all in one, and sent him some links, watched some videos. The very next race that we signed up for was Ironman Cozumel, full distance Ironman. 10 months later, so it was in November. So we ran October 2009, or I think it was 2008. We ran the Detroit Free Press Half, and then our next race was a full Ironman in Cozumel. And boy, was that a learning.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't own.
I can't even fathom this. Wait, this is fascinating.
Yeah, it was.
You had 10 months to prepare for biking, swimming, and running. A full Ironman.
And I realized that I knew how to do none of them. So it was dead of winter. Like we signed up, and the race was mid-October for Detroit. It was, I think, mid-November by the time we signed up for the Ironman, which was the following November. So we're like, okay, we got basically 11 months or so, 12 months to train for it. And I didn't own a road bike or a tri-bike. I had a mountain bike. That was it. And well, we couldn't buy our bikes because it was middle of winter. We weren't going to ride them or anything like that.
Yeah.
Didn't have a trainer for indoor training, anything like that. And, well, let's start going to the pool. We'll go to an indoor pool and we'll start swimming. I couldn't do one lap. Couldn't do one single lap in the pool. I mean, I was used to, I could be in a pool where I'm standing on the ground and that.
Yeah.
And my buddy's just starting swimming laps. And I was like, I missed the memo on this. So here I am I had nose plug, I had earplugs. I didn't know how to breathe for any extended period of time. And then it was just total fear where, okay, we're already registered. We already have our hotels booked. And we started, well, more so me, YouTube videos, day in and day out, swimming videos, how to do it, this and that, going to the pool 5 days a week. And still swimming to this day is my worst discipline by far. But I ended up buying a bike, riding every day, 50, 100 kilometers a day, overtrained, went through multiple injuries, just kind of way more than we should have been doing. And did the race, did well, was happy about it, did a handful more 70.3s after that. And then kids and family started, so started toning it back a little bit, going into duathlons, sprint tries, stuff like that. And really liked doing duathlons. And then just ended up focusing on running. And once I started focusing on running only, I would start having friends come out with me and, one or two here and there, and be like, yo, what are you doing Monday night? Oh, I'm going to do a hill run. And every Monday I would do a hill run. And then on Wednesdays, I'd do my track workouts. And then eventually it turned into, you know what? I'm just going to start a little group, call it the Blue Heron Blazers, because we trained at the Blue Heron Hill. And whoever wants to come out can. And whatever I'm doing that day for training, that's what they can do. And then it just turned into something more than I imagined. It became a pretty big group. We were getting about 20 people out a night. And then I started getting gear orders. And then we started getting, a couple dozen of us that would go to races together. We'd go to Glass City in Toledo and we'd have about 15 of us and we'd all stay at the same hotel, drive up together. And it made it a pretty cool group. And that's how that all started. So I think once I just dialed in running, I got pretty competitive with it, where for myself, not overall, not competitive, but, I think the first year we ran that Detroit half, we were like in the 2-hour range that we ran it. And we were probably, 1,800, 2,000 position overall. Then I think the last few years that I ran it, it was top 20 overall. So I got to that kind of range.
Fantastic.
And that's about the extent of my ability. And then from there, it was just hosting a few charity runs, like the Blue Heron Blazers. We had an annual charity run that we'd throw every year. And then, once COVID hit, I took a little break. New York Marathon was my last in 2019. And then I wanted to take about 6 months off. And then COVID hit and I got lazy and I got lazier. And then 4 years went by. And
funny that time can do that.
And then we started the group back up. And so we started the group back up this year in January. Group's bigger than it's ever been. We're getting 30 to 40 people showing up at our Monday and Wednesday night workouts. And then now that same friend that got me started with that first Detroit race is one of my two partners for this Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon. So it kind of went full circle and
That's so
brings
cool.
us to today.
So do the Blue Herons have like a tattoo? Like, are any of you like bound with ink as well? Like, I know you said you got like merchandise and stuff, but did you take it to the next level yet?
So you know what? I'm still waiting for that first person to show their dedication and get a Blue Heron tattoo.
Oh, okay.
The gauntlet is laid.
Yeah, that's right. So the first blood oath, it's open still.
Exactly.
Whoever spot is open for the taking. That's
so yeah. So any one of you that wants to get one, you can be the first.
That's great. And so do you run like when you do the Detroit? Well, I guess you just reformed back in January, but do you have a big representation from the running group that's actually going to be there as well?
Yeah. So I would say that this year for Detroit, there's probably about a good 25 of us that are running from our group. And so, you know, a lot of new faces too. This year, the running community in itself in entirety is just blown up.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think now? Like, I know after COVID, maybe a lot of people got into it because it was something that was easy to, you know, if you had a pair of shoes and some short shorts and, you know, just the will and desire to get out there, you could start running. But do you think that kind of was the catalyst, or is there something more that's happening right now that's bringing a lot of attention?
I don't know. I think it must go through waves. And I think when I got into running in 2008, there was a lot of groups like Malden Park Runners, you know, social run group and stuff. And Malden Park was a big group. They were the ones that were kind of like the competitive group, relentless runners, great group of people. And I think that was what kept the run community strong back then. And then I think when the people that start those groups, you know, they do it for 10, 12 years, it kind of grows tiresome, right? And then you either need new blood to take it over and run it the same way, or the group fizzles out, right? Mm-hmm. And then with COVID, that really dipped the whole run group community because there was no races to train for. You know, at one point it was frowned upon to even have the groups getting together, right? You know, people drive by and see 20 people huddled up and then, you know, so I think that really diminished that whole aspect of the running community. And then I think on the flip side of the coin is it made the upswing of the pendulum that much stronger. So now you have new groups forming, tons of ambition, younger blood running the groups. So, you know, you probably have these new groups around for the next 5 to 10 years running the way that they are with the same ambition. And like you mentioned, running is one of those sports where you throw on a pair of shoes, cut your shorts really short, and you're good to go. That's all you need, right? And you can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere you live. It's, you know, you don't need to spend a lot to get into it. But somehow every runner, when they do get into it, spends a ton. Watches, shoes.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
You gotta have the gear.
Yeah. So,
and you're right. Like you see it in the local area, we're in Windsor, Essex County, and you can see the renaissance of the running boom again. And, you know, there's the groups, you know, they got one in Leamington, you got one in Walkerville, you restart the BHBs, and lots of people are going out. And then it's like infectious. Really, once you start running and you meet up, have a beer, see a little bit of improvement, you start going and going. And that's what I mean. I'm with you. I saw the same thing coming out of COVID. And you know what? If you look at the major marathons in the world, you look at the number of applications that are being filed, I heard something like 800,000 people applied for London this year when it's normally 200,000. Wow. So there is something going on. Definitely. Well, and that kind of brings us back. So, you know, you now have the Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon. You and your friend, you said that are going to put it on September 14th, 2025. Why a half marathon in Windsor?
So we hope to get down the road, just so it's clear. We hope to turn this into a full marathon weekend. So we would like to, our end goal vision is to one day have a full length marathon. And the starting point for having a half is we knew we could get that approved. We could have an out and back course, cut the course and the amount of road down that we're closing off to half, do it on the widest portion of Riverside Drive where it's 3 and 4 lanes. So that way you have access for emergency vehicles if you need it. It's not totally engulfed by runners. And with that, I think a lot of people picture Windsor as being, it's a 200,000 person city. It's a small city. It can't handle a large scale, big city feel marathon. Like if you compare Detroit, Toronto, Chicago, any of that, it can't do that. But what has kind of been overlooked is Detroit, the proximity of Detroit of 700,000 people in their city, plus our 250,000 people, you're almost tipping 1 million people right there. So that puts us in a different bracket if we can utilize that Detroit prospect, right? And then when you start going out to Chatham, London, Toronto, Guelph, Kitchener, those are all very big running communities. And the thing is, once you get out of Essex County, there's flat and there's Windsor flat. And you can go to London. London can be considered flat. But if you go run in London, there's hills that you do not experience here. So it is not flat. It's flat relative to British Columbia, but it's not what people from Windsor are used to. So then you take promoting that, hey, you can come 3 hours down the road, come down to 401, you can stay at Casino Windsor. There's 4 or 5 hotels on Riverside Drive that are less than a 5-minute walk to the start line of this race. So now when you bring your family to this event, you can see the start line from your hotel room. So now when I think of races that I've done, where you got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you got to drag your family with you. They got to get up with you. They got to go to the race start with you because you're taking a cab or you're driving to the start line. And then you're there. You're there for the long haul, right? And then what would happen is I would start my race. I'd leave the start line, and that's it. They don't see me for 2 hours until I get back, right? And that's that. How'd the race go? No idea. Well, this event, the way we strategize, the way we plan this course out is to basically take everything that we think people from every different perspective of the race will appreciate. So spectators, they get to see the runners go by 4 different times. So if you're watching your husband or your wife run, you see them go through the start, you see them come back at the 5K mark, you see them come back at the 15K mark, and then you see them at the 20K mark and then going into the finish. So lots of pictures, lots of times to see them and cheer them on. So not only does that keep the crowds involved, but that's energizing for the runners, knowing that you're on your way back from the 5K point and you're going to see your wife and your kids or your friends that are there to watch you. And you get to really, you get pumped up for that. You're going through that section. Not only are the crowds there, but you got the music going, cowbells ringing. It gets you going. And then at the same time, it's flat. So you have your runners that are looking to run a PB. They've never broke 2 hours before. Can they run 1:59? Well, even if you didn't train any differently, just this course being flat will get you that time savings. On the same front, if you're a new runner and you've never run a half marathon before, or you want to run your first 5K, this is the easiest course that you can try it out on. If you're going to attempt any half marathon, this is the one to do it. And
See, I've been looking for one that's just downhill the whole way. I haven't found it yet, but I'm sure
that's hard somewhere. That's hard.
That's a tough one. We've been looking for that course. The best we could do is perfectly flat. And
perfectly flat.
Good enough, I think.
So now we're taking the location as far as amenities. So picture you're an out of town runner. You stay at the casino hotel. You walk across the street, waterfront parks the night before. Mm-hmm. You go to the keg. You're sitting on the patio. You have dinner. You're 100 yards away from your hotel. You're looking at the start line for the next morning. So all of that is being factored in, and the fear of unknown's gone because now you know where everything looks like. You can walk up and down the course and see how flat it is. You have the Detroit skyline in the background. You have the Windsor skyline on your other shoulder. You're running under, you get to run underneath, which doesn't seem like anything to people that live in Windsor, but the Hiram Walker Distillery is a world-renowned distillery. If I go on a vacation, I go to Puerto Rico and they have the rum distillery there. That's a tour. That's a day tour that you book. You go there, you try. Well, Hiram Walker is that level. I mean, mm-hmm. they're a world-renowned. So to go there and have something to do with your wife or your husband the night before and go do a little dinner event there. The Windsor Aquatic Center for the kids, right around the corner. I mean, you're walking distance from the start line of the race to that for something to do during the day. If you make a weekend out of it. Anyone in Michigan, Toledo, Detroit, Ohio, anything that comes for this, you cross the border, you come out of the tunnel and you're 2-minute drive from the start line of the race. Right. Or from your hotels. And everyone in the US side has the benefit of the exchange rate. So, hey, you want to come stay at our hotel? There's a 35% discount because of the exchange rate.
Yeah, no kidding.
You book our race, it's 35% discount on the cost of the entry fee. Everything they do. You want to gamble? You're gambling with discounted money. It's just a good...
But you also win discounted money, right?
Yeah, right? No kidding.
Still, $1 more, right?
Yeah. So there's just a lot of benefits that Windsor offers, and it's a good way to showcase Windsor.
Absolutely.
Get everyone there for an event, show off our run community, and show off our waterfront park so that people see it and be like, oh, I've heard about Windsor. I've never really paid attention to it. Never really want to go. It's safe. It's a good way to promote the city. So,
I totally agree. When you started bringing advertising it on Facebook, right away I'm thinking September. That's perfect time of year. You got to get a big long run in, a race in before your fall marathon.
Yeah.
Hey, the next year that'd be a great race. Then you think about fast and flat, just like Mark's stomach, right, Mark? Fast and flat. No, maybe not.
Actually, no. I'm more like London. There's some lumps there that you don't expect them, but they are. So rolling hills.
Yeah, to showcase Windsor. Yeah, like the amenities. It makes for, makes you start wondering, why did Windsor not have a half marathon or in the last 5, 10, 15 years? A long time ago, I heard there was one.
Funny thing is, Detroit Marathon in 1978 when it started in Windsor. In Detroit in 1998 or 1999, after 2 decades, took it over. So it's okay. Right, and they grew it to a 28,000 person marathon weekend from what it started as a 1,500 person race starting in Windsor. And we want to get that back. So myself and the 2 partners, our goal is to bring that back, put Windsor back on the map of there is really no reason that we can't have a big scale race. It's flat, fast, easy, scenic.
It's awesome. And is registration open right now then too?
No, so registration's going to open July 1st. So this Monday, race roster will have registration for the Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon and 5K going live. And we decided we wanted to release it early because, I mean, we're over the calendar year out from the race.
Yeah.
But we have a good early bird discount for those diehards that want to register this first month of July.
Yeah.
And what that does is that kind of shows people it shows us the feedback, but also shows the run community, look what's coming. Look how much this city needed this race. Mm-hmm. It shows city council that. It shows supporting businesses that. It helps out with sponsorships. If we can show that we have 750 registrations in the first month and we're not even in the same calendar year of the race, to bring that to a sponsor and say, do you want to get on board with this? Yeah. That helps. And as you know, sponsors help. They're needed and they help, and we're looking for them.
Absolutely. And so are there any international folks, I mean, outside of even, well, you know, Michigan and that, but you can go even farther into the States there, but have people reached out being like, I'm definitely doing this? Are you getting interest from, you know, over the pond over there in Europe or anything like that? Anybody saying, hey, it's on our radar?
I would love to see that. I would, but I know right now with our initial reach and promotions that we're doing is all basically from Toronto to Ohio.
Gotcha.
And until registration goes live, we will expand our reach as much as possible because we're open. We'd love to have people from anywhere come.
Well, just so you know, too, our podcast is pretty big in Russia right now. So
we remember one a couple of weeks ago in Russia. So you never know who's going to come. Exactly.
Yeah, we've got somebody listening in Iran as well, I think, right? So
this is perfect. We'll get discounted flights.
That's right. You fly into Windsor or Detroit. I mean, the airport's right there, right? So it's just
everything is right there in this city, and it just needs to be promoted and utilized correctly. Because there's always been a lot of races in the city. We've always had, Running Factory. So Running Factory is on our committee. So we have a 7-man team committee, and we basically strategically did it as far as, like Corey Belmore, for example, is on our committee, right? Oh, nice. And him working with race roster, it helps get everything moving. It helps our race roster page get dialed in. Gary and the management of Running Factory, they're on board. So we have the community support. We have the right knowledge and know-how to get this off the ground. And it's not just, I want to take a stab at this. This is consuming my evenings for sure. And it's a lot of time going into this. And the other two partners that I have are very well business oriented and, both have masters in business degrees, and it definitely helps. So everything is with the right mindset.
Well, we're going to try. We're going to talk to our friends at Athletic Brew, and we want to have Athletic Brew be the non-alcoholic beer when you cross that finish line. Crack a cold one. They did it at the Mississauga Marathon this spring. We had Brad Millville on, and he was telling us all the great war stories over 25 years of planning races, and he was also giving us all the secrets. So, like, Ryan, what are the secrets of this course? Like, where are the photographers going to be so we can look like we're running really good? Where the great aid stations are going to be? What are the secrets of this course that you have up your sleeve? Or are you not going to reveal them yet? Maybe we'll get you back on in a future episode.
Yeah, that might be something I should hold back on. But no, that's another avenue that we're going, and this way, if anyone hears this, the direction we want to go with aid stations is we want to get companies to be the aid station. So, for example, Walkerville Brewery, who's a big supporter of the Dub City Runners. Dave Germain, who runs that run group, again, he's on our committee. So just showing the range that we have that's involved in this race. But so Walkerville Brewery, they're phenomenal as far as supporting the running community. So how do we give back to them? How do we try and work something out? And we are in the stages right now where we're negotiating about having them do an aid station. So they set up an aid station. They have their staff wearing their shirts. They have a tent with their logo and their name on it. And it's really close to their establishment.
I'm not leaving that aid station once I get to that one, though.
I know, that's the thing.
I was thinking
a couple of brews there.
Promoted as Run, then Walkerville.
Hey, there's brilliance right there. Hey, you're on the committee.
Yeah, he's got a great marketing mind.
That's good. That was impressive right out of the gate. So, and that's what we want to do. And then the better that the aid stations are. So we'll have a prize for your best, most motivating aid station on the course. Oh, cool. So now you have aid stations that are trying to be the loudest, trying to be the best, most energetic. And it just helps everyone. The louder that they are, the more people notice them. And not to mention this race, everyone goes through the aid stations multiple times, right? So they get to see it once or twice. They get to feel the enthusiasm and the energy at the aid station. And then afterwards, they can walk on over to a post-race party at Walkerville Brewery. Or someone can go pick up a pair of shoes at Running Factory, because they seen them there at an aid station with all their stuff set up, their staff there. So now everyone at that aid station handing out water is wearing Running Factory shirts. Everyone at the other one is wearing Walkerville Brewery staff shirts. And it just helps. Again, we're now not only helping the race out, but we're promoting local businesses. So
that's awesome. A great idea. That's a great idea.
And this is just I've never been to a run yet, but are there ever aid stations that have like misters, like, just mists? Like, when you go to the zoo or when you're at like Wonderland or something like that, where you're walking through on a hot day and there's like mist in the, do they ever do that at races? Is that a common thing?
They do. Actually, they do there's a full variation of that. So not so funny story, but it is now, I guess, 10 years later. So I was running Buffalo Marathon back in like 2012 maybe, and I think I was going there because I was told it was a very flat, fast course, which I learned that again it wasn't. And they had one of the aid stations where you ran by, they had a fire truck there, and it was spraying the hose.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
And it was a hot day, and I thought, this is great. I'm going to run under it. Big mistake. So I run under this. My shoes get soaked. I mean, soft and wet. So now I'm running with heavy shoes. I'm running downhill. My toes are banging into the ends of my shoes. They're wet. My feet are starting to get pruny because I think this was at like mile 5 or 6. So another 10, 12 miles later, my feet are all pruny. I'm starting to get blisters. And then I started feeling something poking my toes at like mile 20. It's like something kept poking my big toe, but it was both of them. And I didn't know what it was. And I finished the race and I took my shoes off to like find out what it was. And both of my big toenails fell off and were inside of my shoe floating around, like inside my socks floating around.
I just collapsed.
That would have been like
and it sounds like something that would be horrendously painful, but it wasn't. Like your feet, they're banging like this for 26 miles. I mean, you're talking thousands upon thousands of strides. So your feet are wet, they're numb, it gradually just worked. So I didn't even know that's what it was, but I was just horrified. I was like, oh my God, it's awful. So now anytime I see people like fire truck or someone spraying water on the course or something, it's like I just run right
Go
around
right back to it. You're like, no.
So they do have that, and they do have aid stations where they'll set up a fan with a mister, and as you run around or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is great on a hot day because it's just enough to mist you but not get your shoes soaking wet.
Kidding. Wow. What a tragedy.
Yeah.
A tragedy.
Well, maybe the good thing about this is the race course itself. Like I said, majority of the course is 4 lanes wide. So if you are walking 5 across, there's room to go around. And at no point with this out and back course, we mapped it out basically using someone like Corey Belmore as a lead runner. So him running a time that he would run versus, what would my parents do a 5K or a half marathon in. And with keeping that in mind, would there be any point in time where a runner would cross paths? Would Corey be coming up behind a walker? And there's no chance of that anywhere on the course.
And
So
what would your parents do a 5K at? Just because I might be in their corral. I just need to know.
Well, my parents used to do the Blue Heron Blitz, which was our club charity race that we used to do for Blue Heron. And they would always be around like the 48 to 55 minute kind of pace. But I mean, they're in their 70s, so
they're Blue Herons. That's awesome.
The Blue Herons.
So I think you're doing what me and my friend did in our first race. You're selling yourself short. I think your first race, you're going to be surprised at how well you do.
I guess you have the adrenaline working for you that day too, as well, right? So I know when you're talking earlier, so I registered for the beer mile and they were asking like, what time do you think you're going to get? And I really have no idea because I know it's only 1 mile, but then I'm just not good at chugging. So giving myself ample time there. So I think I put 8 minutes. I don't even know if that's
You can always email Corey and he can change your time. I think I'm going to too. Totally overestimated.
You know what? I would be completely honest. 8 minutes would probably be not a bad time because.
You think so?
Well,
okay.
You got to think. I mean, to run a 6-minute mile without any beer, 6-minute mile is fast.
Okay, so then,
like Todd.
Maybe I overshot.
Todd, how many 6-minute miles do you run?
Never. When I saw you 2 weeks ago, that was my fastest one at 6:12. So never faster than that yet.
Okay, so imagine now, even you having to drink 4 beers in between it, like that's going to be around an 8-minute mile.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, I should have said 13.
The gauntlet's laid. Corey gave us a lot of good tips. We're gonna have a lot of watermelon the night before.
That's right. Expand our stomachs. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to hold the beer bottle in a 45-degree angle, but it's actually canned. So
the tilt, right?
Yeah. We got to get the tilt, and then you got to be like swallowing and venting at the same time. So a lot of burping. And we're gonna be great. We're gonna be. If Corey does it in about 4 seconds, easily 5 seconds for us. Easily.
I'll do my beer training.
And then we're gonna vomit.
July.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's
that's gonna be.
And that's always like, even anytime we talk about Corey, like the fact that he can run. I mean, there was times where I trained to get my mile time down so I could, I got to a point where I felt pretty good about my mile times. And to know that Corey can run faster while drinking 4 beers and still, you know what I mean? It's mind blowing to me what his capabilities are. And
what were your times, Ryan? So what did you get your marathon time down to? What was your PB?
My marathon time, my best was 2:46.
2:46, fantastic.
Yeah, and then 5K, there was a handful of times I went under 16, so 15:40s, 15:55s.
Wow.
10K was 32:58 because I just barely broke the 33-minute mark. So yeah, 32:58 for a 10K. My mile was a 4:34. What else? Half marathon. Funny thing was, best one I ever raced in a race was Toledo Glass City, and it was a 1:15. But the best I've ever done by myself, because again, Windsor, just running, I could always push myself hard, was a 1:13:58. But it doesn't count. So I got to say my best half is the 1:15.
We'll count it. We'll count it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, those are like super fast times, because you said you started running in 2008. So you would have been in your 30s?
Yeah. So I didn't start running until I was 28 years old. So it was but I loved it. I was ambitious. I really wanted to get my times down. But I think that's what I learned and was a big factor in the run group with helping other runners, was that anyone I ever met, and I've been humbled a few times, but when I would run with guys like Lionel, different races and stuff, and then I ran a lot with Corey. So we would do our long runs together on weekends. And to see that, like Lionel could run a 106, 107. Corey, he's a mile specialist running sub 4-minute miles. But at the same time, he's running 130 kilometers a week. He can run a half marathon faster than I could ever fathom running one. And that ability that he's got, I could learn a lot from him. And both of them were always very humble. They were very easy to talk to. They helped me out a lot. Any questions I asked them, they would give me advice, and I would take it. And so I know that for new runners getting into the running scene, having a run group, people are nervous. They don't want to go out to a run group because what if they're the slowest one there? What if they can't keep up? Mm-hmm. And I like getting that out there, that you're welcome. Any runner of any level, any age can come out to the Blue Heron Run Group, and guaranteed they'll come back. We are as welcoming as you can be. And a lot of that comes down to, I could never look down on another runner, no matter what level they are, because A, I've started off there, and B, no matter how good I ever get, I'm never going to be a Corey Belmore or a Lionel Sanders or even Olympian. And then, there's other coaches in the city, like Matt Gervais, who part owner of Cycle Culture. He's a phenomenal coach. He is, I actually did a year of training with him and learned a lot from him. And he's an excellent coach. So anytime that someone comes out to the run group and they really want more attention, because my group's free. There is no cost. There's everything I do coaching wise or anything is free. Workout plans, they're free. But if someone wants a little more detail, they want a little more attention, I'm happy to say, hey, Matt Gervais, go to him. He'll get you to a next level. And, it's that kind of community support and effort to push people their way. Even with other run groups, when you look at Dove City Runners, Shores of Erie, those are social run groups. Those are easy 5K runs. You go do a jog with 50 other people, but you need that. I always joke. I always say to our runners, and anytime someone from Dove City comes out or something like that, is work hard at our runs. Mondays and Wednesdays, dread them. Understand that we're going to work hard. We're going to improve your running on these 2 nights. And then go do a social fun run, drink, have fun, and talk about how much you're dreading Monday night coming back to Blue Heron. But you dread it together, and you go through it together. So even at our group, like I tell people all the time, go do the social runs because that's easy miles. Go get that 5, 10K throughout the week. Easy miles, get it done with, and then come suffer with our group.
So is that the secret? Is it the Monday hills and the Wednesday track? Is that the secret sauce?
For me, it was, yeah.
For you?
Monday hills, Wednesday track, and then a long run on the weekend. Those 3 workouts are key. And I think Corey even mentioned on his podcast with you guys, those are the 3. If you get those 3 workouts in a week, you're set. Anything above and beyond a tempo run in between or an easy run, recovery run, those are just icing on the cake, right? So you get the track workout, hill workout, and a long run every week, you're golden.
Okay.
I'm going to ask this on behalf of Mark because Mark, I see, I'm listening, I'm learning from you. We had Ian Sharman on our last podcast, and
nice.
Ian Sharman is like, there's no shortcut, there's no magic bullet. And right away, our Uncle Mark is like, but if there was a magic bullet, what would it be? What is the shortcut? Is there a shortcut, Ryan?
I will honestly say in my time of running, the biggest shortcut that I ever witnessed in real time was when carbon plated shoes came out.
Oh, yep. Okay. That's a good one.
For running for a decade before they came out, and then trying a pair of those out and literally seeing my time drop overnight because of just the shoes. That was the first time that I could say there's a magic pill for just getting you to that next level.
There you go, Runkle. The carbon plated shoes. I think I got a pair around here I can let you borrow.
Yeah.
See, all I've been trying is just over applying squirrel nut butter and thinking I'd just be like gliding faster, but it just hasn't.
Or the roller shoes with the wheels on the bottom.
The Heelys, yeah.
Yeah, get the Heelys and you're all set.
Later, losers, as I like scoot by.
I was laughing a little bit about squirrel's nut butter. Mark loves squirrel's nut butter. He's always talking about this. And we were talking at work a couple of days ago, and he was like, I went for a 12-kilometer run a couple of Saturdays ago, and I got chafed. And I'm like, well, what kind of T-shirt did you wear? He's like, I wore a cotton shirt. And I'm like, and did you put any lube on squirrel's nut butter? He's like, no. I'm like, if only there was a podcast that covered these topics. Mark, you guys start listening to the podcast.
I got to listen to my own. That won't happen again. It was old Lefty there that was bugging me, so gotta protect him next time.
Yeah, it happens once and then you learn, right?
Learn my lesson. Awesome. Love it.
That's
great.
Nice.
And I guess, yeah, so we know you mentioned that registration opens in July, right? So is there anything else that you want to
July 1st.
Get out there to anyone? Or
I think the main points we want to get across to this race is, again, it encompasses all runners, but we really want to get across that it's going to be a big city race for Windsor. We don't want people to shy away from it. We want them to know that any new runner, this is the easiest course you can get. This is the best course as far as spectator friendly, family oriented. It is just the best race to get your feet wet. But like I said earlier, that translates to your seasoned runners who are looking to set a PB. An easy course is a fast course, and that's what we got. So it is good for every runner. And then as far as July 1st registration, we know it's early, but as much as we could ask the running community to just take that kind of plunge, register early, because that allows us to show the city what kind of support we're getting from the run group. And, if we go early and register, everyone's like, oh, I'll register, in December, or I'll think about it. It just, it doesn't do anyone any favors, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we have that.
Yeah, you got to build up that interest.
Yeah. And
it's actually a great idea.
people get that, when they start seeing people registered, okay, well, I'll register too. So we give that early bird discount for it, right? And yeah, sponsors, we're looking for sponsors. So anyone that would like to be a part of this, get their name on the race and stuff, tell them to reach out to us. Yeah, that's essentially what we're after.
That's awesome. So come do the Windsor Half to get your feet wet, but not too wet that you lose your toenails, right?
Yeah, touche.
And what's the best spot to get more information? Do you have a Facebook group, Instagram?
Yeah. So
where are you on socials?
So right now we are building up it's out there. We have our Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon event page and our Facebook friend page. But as we're building up the followers on that, what we're essentially doing is I'm sharing a lot of the posts from that page to my Blue Heron group, where we have almost 1,000 people in that group. And then we share it out from there to the other groups and spread it that way. So a good way, any of the run groups, they're sharing the same link. So anyone that wants to ask a question, if they ask it in one run group, it'll get back and we'll be able to answer it. But we do have the Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon page where people can ask the question directly to us, and myself or my two other partners, they will respond, within that afternoon or day. And then race roster, as of July 1st, when race roster goes live, the link on the event page will be a direct access point to race roster. So when you go to the Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon event page, it'll have the link and you can click on it and it'll take you right to the registration page on race roster.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds
Easy's
great.
the way to go.
That is right. Awesome. Well, we've really appreciated having you here, Ryan, and look forward to, hey, maybe you'll see me running there at the half waterfront.
Oh, I'll see you there.
We'll see where I'm at in a year's time frame.
One more thing that the community should be, proud of is the larger this event turns out to be, the more support it gains, the more traction it gains. That's all from our running community, right? So yeah, we can do the legwork and get the approvals and organize it. But I organize a race and no one shows up is one thing. If this is a hit, that's all on the Windsor community. That's all on the support of the run group. So they really get to take credit for making this happen, bringing it to fruition, right? So I'm excited to see the support that we get from the run groups.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
An idea just popped in my brain.
Uh-oh.
Think about what Ian said. How about you run this next year in a costume?
Oh, what could it
Blue
be?
Heron Blazer costume.
You could try to set
Blue Heron.
Blue
Heron.
Yeah.
I could.
You could be the first finisher. You'll be the fastest finisher in a costume. So you'll set out an official
right.
Guinness World Record.
Yeah, we'll call Guinness. Make sure they're there too. And then we'll get Corey to run it too, and maybe get him recorded as another world record of some type. So, yeah, we could package this up, I think. It'll work out.
Hi, I'm Ryan Allison. I'm one of the race directors that's working to bring the Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon and 5K to Windsor, September 14th, 2025. It's family friendly, it's flat, it's easy, and it's fast. We hope to see you out there. You can find more details on the Windsor Waterfront Half Marathon Facebook page or at Race Roster.